Hello everybody and welcome to the War Room. This one is for the upcoming One Championship card on April 22nd, One Championship Reloaded. And today I'm focusing on the co-main event for the vacant strawweight Muay Thai title between Jackie Buntan and the 17-year-old Smilla Sundell. Now, first of all, I have to state that if Sundell wins this, she'll be the youngest champion in One Championship history, which is absolutely incredible. But we can't count out Buntan, of course. You know, she's a lethal fighter that's had 3 fights in One Championship and has gotten better every time. First of all, let's have a quick look at the tail of the tape. So Jackie Buntan, 23-5 is her record, 3-0 in One Championship with 3 decisions. Smilla Sundell on the other side is 32-5 with 1 draw, and she's 1-0 in One Championship, but that was a third round TKO. She will have the height and reach advantage as well, a good 4 inches in height and probably a couple of inches in reach as well. And I do think that she'll be able to make the most of that if she's patient enough to, shall we say, because she is very eager to close distance. And this is the interesting thing about this fight for me, because Sundell brings a pace which only a few fighters can replicate, the likes of Rodtang, and if you can find video of them sparring online, Rodtang and Sundell, and the pace is frantic. You know, whenever you watch Sundell fight, you know, all the way back into her gym fights on the Fairtex fight scene, you can see that constant bang, 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 step across, bang, chop, chop, bang, bang. It's an onslaught that there's never really a time to come up for air. On the other side, with Jackie Buntan, she's got great footwork and she likes to drift away and pull her opponent towards her and then keeps tempting them with range changes to try and get them to throw something so that she can counter. There might not be an option for that in this fight. She might find herself on the defensive immediately and trying to deal with what Sundell's throwing at her. And with the height and reach advantage that Sundell's got, it might be quite difficult for Buntan to get to her in the early goings. But if this is a bit of a slower paced fight, that's when we're going to see the calm footwork of Jackie Buntan, drawing her opponent in and then starting to look for counters. I would say she's a far more patient fighter. She's far more calculated than Sundell. And, you know, there's definitely a maturity to her game, even though she's only 24. The enthusiasm of Sundell, it was evident in her One Championship debut. She was incredibly aggressive. She was constantly moving forward, but she also took quite a few shots in the process. And they might not be shots that she can take against Jackie Buntan, who's got a wicked left hook and knows how to set it up. Okay, let's get into some fight footage. So, as I was saying with Jackie Buntan, she's got great footwork. She's constantly drifting towards her right, assuming that she's fighting orthodox fighters, which we've seen her predominantly do so far. So what we're going to see in this clip here is she's going to be drifting all the time to her right side. She's moving away from the right side of Wonder Girl Fairtex, but then she'll keep dipping onto that lead leg. There she goes again. She keeps dipping onto the lead leg to try and tempt her opponent to throw so she can counter. She's testing that closing of the range to see what the favored weapons are. And of course, you know, she's moving away from the power side of Wonder Girl Fairtex, who is trying to really get Buntan to walk towards her right leg, and she just doesn't want to do it. And I mean, you can see how quick she darts across there, and then she actually slips the kick. One other thing that's worth mentioning about Buntan just quickly is that she's got very, very sharp eyes and sharp reflexes. Great defensive work. She's good at reading the technique and in the split second deciding how she's going to deal with it. You know, there's a lot of natural programming defensive stuff there, but in moments like that, she's deciding whether she's going to slip away or whether she's going to block and counter. You know, these very, very fast decision making in the moment, and she's going to need that against Sundell, because Sundell is an avalanche. She's a hurricane, as her nickname is. This constant pace that she's got is going to force Buntan to react very quickly to keep herself safe. But that will also become quite exhausting if Sundell's able to keep it up. So we're going to need to see where Buntan's defensive and countering work is after she's been through the mill, you know, for a couple of rounds of Sundell trying to throw at her. Because in the early round, in the first round in particular, I think that Buntan's going to be able to land good counter shots on Sundell as she moves forward. But there will become a point, I feel like, where Sundell will start to get through, especially with the height and reach. But just going back to this one, so we've seen good defensive work here. We saw lovely footwork. She's moving away from the power side. Wonder Girl still tries to throw the high kick, and Buntan slips, and moves and is gone. And now she's starting to get a read on the distance between her and her opponent. And now she's starting to look for counters, and it comes back to that left hook again. See how she's drifting away? There's the first good left hook that she lands. And of course, Wonder Girl shrugs it off, as is the playful Muay Thai spirit. But it still landed. It landed cleanly. And now Buntan has got a record that she knows that left hook is going to land at that moment. So again, she's moving, and she's going to stop and then tempt her opponent. You can see Wonder Girl winding up for a low kick. And as she does, Buntan just checks it, catches it for a moment to delay it. Then she goes right hand, which just misses. Now, the benefit in catching this leg for a moment, you can see how she's got that wrapped. It just slows down the recoil of Wonder Girl's kick, just enough time for her to set her up for the next shot. Now, what she's actually trying to do is catch her and hit her with that right hand. But Wonder Girl's off the center line. What you'll see is that both of their punches miss. Just there, look. You see Wonder Girl try and throw out a right hand to try and catch her and pull her leg back. But they both miss one another. But Buntan, you can see this lead leg is planted. She's in a position ready, as you can see with the left hand is postured, ready to throw that left hook around. She's already in a position to start throwing her next shot, and Wonder Girl isn't because of the kick catch. So watch this. So she catches the kick, throws the right hand, but they both miss. But then she comes back with a long power hook and clips her. That's a lovely long left hook. Clips her right on the chin. And fair play to Wonder Girl, she takes it well and she shrugs it off. But the target is marked. And then we go, just a short while later in the fight, in the round, and you'll see Wonder Girl engage again and get caught with that same left hook. And this is a slight different engagement. What you're seeing here is Jackie Buntan skipping with the inside low kick, but she's receiving a jab cross counter in return. And you see the same thing. They do the same thing with the right hand. They lock shoulders on the right hand, but Buntan's quicker with the left hook. Lovely shot. And often with Buntan's fights, what you'll see is that she'll throw the right hand, not really with the intention of landing it with anything. She'll use it as the segue to pull back on the left hook. If she's starting from a distance, you'll sometimes see her go long slap with the left hook, like an open palm slap that follows with a right hand and then the left hook. It's like a 3-2-3 combination. And you'll see it a bit later on in these videos, but it's a very consistent technique that she uses. But always it gravitates towards setting up that left hook. Let's have a look at that one more time. Inside low kick. Both go for a right hand and both miss, and Buntan turns, bang. And look at the torque on her shoulders. So currently we're looking at right shoulder forward, right? She's going to throw that left hook. Now look at that. Now there's the right shoulder and the left shoulder's all the way forward supporting that punch. She has good drive and good twist, good torque on her punches, which is why she's able to land big shots like that. So with that in mind, if she's got an opponent like Sundell that is quite happy to be marching forward and to be throwing everything Muay Thai that she's got in her skill set at her, Jackie Buntan might be able to find ways to get outside of those shots and start coming back with that power left hook. But the challenges that she's going to meet are, well, first of all, the reach and the tenacity of Sundell, but also the volume that she throws. Like, Sundell is absolutely willing to come crashing into range and take some shots to land. And she's got a very nice, clean, fundamental Muay Thai game. There's nothing particularly fancy about her game. She's accurate and she's very effective, and she never particularly overextends herself in a reckless way, but she is hittable. We saw that in her first fight against Deandra Martin. I feel like Jackie Buntan's going to feel like she's going to be able to catch her with counters on the way in. But what Buntan can't underestimate is the overwhelming nature of Sundell's attack. First of all, she's got the height and reach advantage. Second of all, she's got great jabs and teeps, which is going to make her feel very long for Jackie Buntan. Buntan's going to maybe feel for the first round, especially if Sundell's smart in her approach, like she just can't get to her. Watch the opening of Sundell's debut. Goes straight in with a hard jab. And it's all about stinging hard jabs and chopping low kicks and teeps to the midsection and to the face. Nice basic combinations, cross to the body, hook to the head. But again, low kick. But it's overwhelming. And even though she is the bigger fighter, height and reach wise, she's quite happy to close distance, and she's great in the clinch as well. But then, of course, as you break in the clinch, as we just saw then with Martin, she's caught in the tie clinch here. She takes a knee to the top of the head, but manages to get free. And as she's moving away, she's still on the end of Sundell's punches, and now she finds herself back in the clinch again. Like the reach of Sundell, although she's not adamant to use it constantly in the fight, it's there to help her close distance behind firepower. So as Jackie Buntan's waiting for Sundell to come in and attack, it's not going to be quite as easy to slip and counter because the distance between her and her opponent is so different. And then, of course, if she does close distance, when Jackie Buntan's looking for that left hook, she's now already clinched and dealing with the knees. And the height of Sundell is going to allow her to have some pressure into that tie clinch. And she's got great knees to the body as well. We'll see her get dropped once here. The double knee to the body drops her. She's going to get up. And there's the long range weapons that we were talking about. Look at that teep right to the neck, right to the chin. Lovely work. Like you can imagine how it feels to fight somebody that not only is very tall but also knows how to use those long range weapons. I've fought guys, back in the day in MMA and Muay Thai that were, 6'4", 6'5", and unless you train with someone that height, until you've had a couple of minutes to try and figure out your way inside that range, it can be very, very frustrating. And, like mentally exhausting as well, especially if you're a thinking fighter like Jackie Buntan is, like looking for those opportunities to counter-strike that just don't present themselves. Because not only is she the longer range fighter, Sundell, but she's also got that rod tang pacing, which is bang, bam, bam, chop, chop, bang, bang, chop, bang. And you can never come up for air. There's always constantly something for you to deal with, which keeps you very present, very in the moment, and very reactive. And Jackie Buntan, as we've said, she is very good at countering, but she has to be sharp for the whole fight in order to make the most of that. And that's very, very difficult. Okay, so here you see Sundell. I mean, she's already dropped her with the knee. She comes straight in, teep to the face. Why not? And then she's got her backed up against the fence, and she's covering her. She moves across, forces her back up against the fence, and keeps working that midsection. Again, long-range techniques, jabs and teeps. But then when she closes distance, she's lethal. What you can see, a lovely left hook to the body here. Bang, left hook to the body. Now she's in the clinch. She throws a knee, which is smothered. She creates a bit of space for herself. Let's have a quick look at the left hook first, because it was lovely. Closes distance, touches the jab. Bang. Left hook to the midsection. Now she's into a clinch. She's going to pull her opponent onto a knee, but you can see her opponent drops this elbow here. She's going to drop that to cover her midsection so that the knee doesn't land cleanly. So what you're going to do is you're going to see Sundell step away, step long with that left foot, and then bring it up at the side and circle it in. So it's actually coming this way. Instead of it coming straight up and trying to hit into the midsection and not generate any momentum at the same time, she's coming up, traditional Muay Thai, twisting knee, right into the midsection. Lovely work. And then you just see her opponent drop. I mean, it is an excruciating pain, that is. And and look at that. I mean, that is a signifier of this fight straight away. Like, look at Martin coming out here. She takes a couple of steps off the fence. Like, watch how far she gets off the fence before you see Sundell come charging in from the other side, and immediately Martin starts to go, let me move back again. Forward, 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 forward. Nope, back. And then Sundell's there immediately. And then she's working that midsection again. Lovely jab to the midsection. Like, again, if you're fighting someone that is not only is tenacious in their attack, but also consistent with their target, switching their targets. Jab, cross, hook to the body, cross to the body, hook to the head, low kick, teep to the face, jab to the body. Something's gonna get through. You're gonna get wet in a rainstorm. There's no way of avoiding it. And Sundell fights like she's running out of time. Jackie Buntan fights like she's got all the time in the world, and she can wait and allow her opponent to come to her and then look for their opportunities to counter. But with someone that throws as much as Sundell, she could quite easily be outpointing Jackie Buntan while the judges are scoring away on their scorecards and Buntan's looking for that perfect shot. So if we look at Buntan's career in one championship so far, she's had 3 fights, 3 wins, 3 decisions, but the first and last were unanimous. The middle one against Vandieva was a majority decision, and it wasn't the easiest of fights. It was a very kind of cagey, like back and forth, like they were both struggling to really read one another. Vandieva's got a very skilled fighter that was never gonna take unnecessary risks and overextend herself. And the reach and height was clearly an issue for Buntan to start with, but what we did see was great defensive work again, and she was able to do enough to get the win on the scorecards, but she wasn't able to land nearly as many meaningful shots as she was in her first fight in one championship or her last. And I have to just show you this. Lovely work this is. So you can see the height and reach disadvantage here. Definitely height, most likely reach as well. Buntan just looks like she's a bit too far on the outside and like she can't quite close that distance. But in the opening moments, while she's reading her opponent, her defensive work was fantastic. Like, just watch this little clip. So you see Vandieva's attacking the inside leg. She steps forward, so she's aiming to sting this target here on the inside leg. And as she steps, Buntan picks her leg up and stops it with the base of her foot. So slick. Great timing on that as well. Stops it, pushes it back down, look. Pushes it back down, and then Vandieva goes to attack again with a jab cross, and Buntan slips. Very good at parrying, Buntan. This is something I really like about her style, and something that works very well with the small gloves. Like, often you'll see her tempting her opponent. I'm going to show you a clip which really illustrates this very well. But you can see it here as well. Whenever an opponent's stepping in with a jab cross, you'll see her go pap 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 pap. She catches the jab, parries the cross, and then starts her own combinations. I mean, she wasn't quite able to do it here against Vandieva, but you can see her parrying with her hands, bam bam, and then slip the cross. Really great defensive work, really slick. But as I was saying, against Vandieva, she was just kind of on the outside a lot of the time. She couldn't quite get close to her. Still kept tempting the range and kept trying to chase things back. But if Sundell is able to be a bit patient, if she's able to take her time and force Buntan to start reaching for stuff, of course it would be a bit uncharacteristic for her, but it might start causing Buntan some problems. It might emphasize the length of her arms and how tall she is by comparison. Like, I mean, all the way through this, you got Buntan. She got good movement, but she just looks like she's just a little bit on the outside. And it's not until she really steps in and starts to commit that she starts to land good shots. I mean, she did land her left hook a few times, but she had to really chase her opponent down to do it. Like, you'll see a clip here. Here we go. Like, she really has to cover a lot of distance to do it, and rely on her opponent being in range for her to land those shots. But there it is again, look. Jab, cross, big left hook. Doesn't quite land it cleanly. Not as clean as the first fight, but she still lands it well. So, if Jackie Buntan gets stuck on the outside against Sundell, then she might be trying to reach her and be missing. And that's where Sundell can be smart and play that long-range game. I honestly don't expect her to do that, though, and I think Sundell's going to come crashing in and make a real scrap out of this, which is going to force Buntan to work a lot faster than I think she wants to. So going back to Sundell's first fight in one championship, the way that she was able to finish Deandra Martin was just beautiful, because it was that constant, relentless pace. And what we're going to see in this clip, we're going to see attack, footwork, attack, footwork. There's the footwork, there's the attack. There's another attack. Footwork, cover her, and then attack. And then cover her, and then attack. And cover her. See, she was defensive there. That's the only thing that stopped her attacking in that moment. I find it interesting to watch fighters' rhythms. It's one of the reasons why Rodtang was it changed the way that I train Muay Thai, because I try and replicate that pace that Rodtang's got, because everything that he does is quality. There's nothing reckless about it. He's throwing good quality shots, but he's not overcommitting to anything. But the moment that he stops throwing that combination, the time is ticking. The sand is wasting away into the lower chamber, and then he attacks again. And it's like there's a small amount of time where you as an opponent can attack me. It's your turn, and if you don't go, it's too late. Every time I've broken down Rodtang, I talk about that same thing. Sundell is the same, but she's just taller and rangier, which gives her whole other attributes to make this onslaught even more difficult to deal with. Like, Deandra Martin was never able to get off the fence. Like, what I'm talking about here when I'm talking about footwork is her awareness that she needs to cover her opponent. What she doesn't want Deandra Martin to do is just to keep drifting around here and then able to circle back into the center. What she wants to do is every time Deandra Martin moves across, she wants to keep her pinned against that fence. And then when she starts to move again, she needs to pin her against that fence panel. And that's what we see. That's this conscious step that she has across. Here she comes in. Nice long jab. And a second attack. And then Deandra Martin moves. Now this is the moment where Martin can scoot out and take the center. But the awareness, and she uses the circle very well, which I can't say for every fighter. It takes a level of spatial awareness to be able to understand how to trap somebody. But as soon as that happens, what you'll see is a drift and cut across straight away. There we go, look. See her jog out. And then that puts her in front of her opponent, facing the fence. Instead of now chasing her around the fence and never being able to cut her off, she puts her back in a vulnerable position and then attacks immediately. And then she goes and she covers her. Back against the fence, driving into you immediately. And then she attacks. And then Deandra Martin goes and she covers her. Like, you can see this pattern. You can feel how suffocating this must be for the opponent, especially because Martin's already taken some big shots to the body. She's already hurt. She doesn't want to keep taking these shots. What she really needs is to sit down for a few minutes and gather herself. Like, this attack that Sundell is putting on her is keeping her in a defensive mindset, even when nothing's really landing that's hurtful. It's scoring on the judges' scorecards, of course, but you know for sure Sundell's not bothered about that. Like, she's trying to take you out of there every time. Constant cover, pressure. Good shots coming back, as I said, from Deandra Martin, but always she looks like she's on the back foot, and she looks like she's throwing because she's trying to get a moment to stop. She's trying to get a moment to breathe. And look at the footwork of Sundell. Constantly just covers her. Shadows her against the fence. Never gives her the opportunity to see the center. And then went lovely punching combination to finish. Chases her down. Solid jab. Little shot to the midsection there. You struggle to see the right hand. Hits her with the jab. Right hand to the midsection. And then comes up with the left hook. And then another solid jab right on the chin. I mean, it's very rare that you see someone go down from a jab. But if you take into account all of the shots that have landed already, the constant peppering, the shots to the body, the knees to the body, like, it gets to the point where a jab is just enough. And that's the point where Sundell gets you. That's the challenge for Buntan, is to find moments to breathe. They're like pockets of air in an underwater cave. Like, most likely you're going to run out of oxygen, but if you can find those pockets, you might just be able to hang on for a bit longer. Like, hanging on might be where Buntan looks like she's in the end of the second round. But if she's able to start landing some meaningful shots, then it might start changing the direction of this fight. But I very much feel like Sundell is going to be a handful from the opening bell to the last. I just don't see any other characteristic in her fight. So then I go back to Buntan's last fight against Daniela Lopez, where she was under pressure and she was having to defend and counter. And what we saw was another step to her game, like new levels of footwork, new levels of countering. Still the same things where she's pat 2-3, still a really nice combination that works well for her, but we'll start seeing some diversity in her footwork here as well. So Lopez puts her under pressure straight away. And the left hook is the money shot in this fight. Constantly. Pressure, but good footwork. Tries to find some space. There we go. She's tempting. She's threatening her opponent. There we go. She goes to that inside leg again that we saw in her debut. Stings inside leg, right hand, left hook counter. Doesn't quite land it there. But the benefit in this fight is that she's got someone that's standing right in front of her. Unlike Vandejeva, who was elusive and difficult to read, Lopez is a little bit more stationary, and there's that left hook. And as I talk about the pat 2-3, she goes slap to that outside hand. Can you see that? Palm to the outside hand. It just jams her opponent's guard up against the face for a minute, and then she pops the 2 right through the center. But still, it's a 3-shot combination with the focus being on the 3rd shot. Slap, 2, 3. Slap, 2, 3. And that 3 is a banger. Like you see, and the benefit in throwing the cross before is that it loads that right shoulder. So then she's pulling this shoulder back to throw the left shoulder forward. There it is, look. Now there's the right shoulder to the left shoulder. Big twist, big power in that shot. And I mean, and Lopez was tough. She wasn't able to quite get her out of there, but she hit her with some really good 2-3s, really good left hooks. We're going to see some stance switching in a minute as well, and this is something I think will be really useful against Sundell, who, here's the 2-3. Bang, lovely twist on that left hook. And then chases her down straight for the low kick. Okay, so this is what I want to talk about. Now, if you're dealing with someone that's a taller fighter, one of your biggest challenges is covering distance, right? One of the biggest challenges is getting close to them so you can land. Especially if, say, for example, Sundell's watched the Vandieva fight and she's like, okay, maybe I won't just charge forward for the whole fight. Maybe I'll hang back and see what Buntan wants to do. Maybe just to kind of, test her and see what her attacking options are. So that might put Buntan in a position where she needs to start being a bit more aggressive. She needs to cover a bit more distance. And she's in the Lopez fight, she's been using this switch stance, which loads her right hook, but also loads her left body kick. You'll see what I mean here. She uses it a couple of times. So she steps through. So orthodox, she's going to step through with her right foot and throw a power right hook right to the temple. And there's an element of confusion here, because Lopez doesn't exactly know what's going on, because she sees a switch in stance. She's not sure what attack's coming. So it opens up this big opportunity to throw that power right hook to the temple. And then while she's disorientated, she goes left body kick as well. Really nice combination. Right hook, left body kick. We'll see it again here, an even better example of it. Right hook, left body kick. Super slick. Switch stance. Switch stance, right hook, left body kick. Very nice. I'm drilling that later. Very cool. Here it is one more time. Left hook, right body kick. Like, being able to change your line of attack, but also change your stance is going to give Sundell a lot of things to think about. And we talk about diversity of skills. This is what I'm talking about with Buntan. In this short clip here, we see 3 really nice attacks, one after the next. And all of them fairly complex as well. So the first one here, we're going to see her throw kick, and before the kick is returned, she's going to fire this right hand out as well. So you're getting a 2-pronged attack. You can't defend both. She defends the kick, and the right hand gets through. Kick to right hand. That's the first one. Then she's going to crack her with an elbow with the lead hand. See how she pulls the arm down, scoop, and smash. Very, very slick. Really nice work. Pulls that down like the handle of a fruit machine. Pulls that down, then smashes over the side with the elbow. Let's zoom in so you can see it a bit better. Hang on a minute. There we go. Watch this. Reach. Pulls the hand down. Smash with the elbow over the top. So slick. Please excuse me for geeking out. I'm going to watch those again. So let's watch this attack. Kick to punch. Pull to elbow. And then the next attack is just as slick. Love it. Because she then feints. She then feints and then hits her with a hard jab. And then here comes the left hook again. Parry, parry. Bam, bam, cross hook. Parry, parry, cross hook. So slick. I mean, that kind of hand fight, and I wish I saw more of it in MMA, but I don't. I mean, guys don't like to fight at this range in MMA. It's either really out or really in. This is the range which is going to serve Buntan really well against Sundell, because Sundell's going to be right there ready to be parrying and slipping and countering. It's a risky thing to do, of course, because if you miss or if you get set up and you reach for a shot that's not coming, then of course there are inherent risks that come with that. But I feel like Buntan is a sharp enough mind, and she's a smart enough fighter to be able to read the fact that Sundell is going to be kind of throwing the basics. It's going to be really nice, consistent basics, which gives us something easier to work off. Not things nearly as complex as Buntan's throwing at her opponents, which makes it very difficult to read. Like, watch this. You see the parries coming in. So big knee lift. We go parry with the jab. Right hand to the jab, pulls that down. Right hand comes out from her opponent. She parries that down as well. And then she goes 2, jams her on the way in, and hits her with the power hook. Parry, parry, bang, bang. Very slick. Like, for me, that is the most interesting part of this, is the fact that Sundell is there to be hit. She's overwhelming in her pace, but it does put her in striking range. She has a height and reach advantage, but only if she chooses to use it. If she finds a way, punching her way through jabbing range and into the clinch, then she's going to be vulnerable for those counter shots from Buntan. The left hook of Buntan could change the direction of this fight entirely, because even if she doesn't knock her out with it, she might get enough respect so then Sundell doesn't apply her game the way that she normally does and then keep marching forward. You know, you've also got to think that that Buntan's training with Janet Todd, who's a highly technical Muay Thai fighter, who's going to be able to watch what Sundell does and then mimic it in the gym. It might be difficult for her to mimic it because it's a bit more reckless than what we see from Janet Todd. But no doubt she's dealt with it with individuals like that before, and any experience that Janet Todd has got can be passed on as well. I think Buntan's counter-striking is going to be key for her in this one. Footwork and counter-striking. Don't be there to be hit. Don't be bullied up against the fence, and certainly don't allow yourself to be outpointed without throwing something back. For Sundell, she needs to not let this occasion get to her. She's 17. She could be the youngest one championship champion in history. But, you know, there's a lot of excitement that comes with that. And you know, she lives and breathes this. You know, you can see her in those Fairtex gym fights. Like, she's fighting on weekends for fun just to stay sharp, and she's beating guys up. Like, honestly, go and watch the Bongsak Sitfalek catches him with a left hook, which is sickening. And they're the kind of shots that if she lands on Buntan, it doesn't really matter what else is coming back at her, because they're debilitating. This is going to be a battle. This is a vacant strawweight title fight. Muay Thai rules in the circle with the small gloves. Both of these guys are coming in undefeated. Both of these fighters are just as capable of taking the belt from one another. It's going to be a good one. I'll see you next time.